Good morning, good morning to you. You. Good morning, good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning, good morning to you, and many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I hope that you have been having a great and wonderful day. Let me make sure that my volume is all the way up over here. All right, making sure my volume is all the way up. Is my volume all the way up? I think it is. Okay, again, this is Daring Dialogues Black Table Talk Edition. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I find it very interesting that when I go live, um, as we know, all of these social media platforms are suppressing videos of content creators that look like me. So if you would do us a great favor and share this broadcast out so that we can reach more people during the live broadcast. I know some people are going to come back and watch the replay, and that's perfectly fine. But if you're watching live, if you would help us out by sharing this video in real time. All right, so a couple of things that we want to talk about today. I want to talk about some things that are new in the book world, and this one is fairly new. But I want to just show these to you all. You might be interested in the topics. This first one is Black and Irish. Black and Irish. Legends, Trailblazers, and Everyday Heroes. I can't wait to get into this. It looks really good. It's got some historical people in here. It has got some present day people in here, and it's got some myths, some vocabulary, and all of that. It is the first ever book about Black Irish people in this particular format. And again, my name is Shantae Charles. I usually announce it when I first come on. It's the first ever book about Black Irish people. We're taking a look at inspirational careers, dreams, and achievements of legends, trailblazers, and everyday heroes, including Ruth Nega, Gavin Bazunu, Dami Hope, Emma Dabiri, Rasadat Adeleke, and Phil Lynott or Lynott. All right. So, and I got a little bit interested in this because I was looking up some things about the Scots Irish and the Irish connection to Africa and Queen Scotia and all of that. And I started thinking about, okay, are there any books out there on Black Irish history? And I found this one. So I ordered it, looked through it last night, and I think it's going to be a great read to get into. I like to read books that have, some internal graphics to it, you know, looks like easy reading. I could probably read it for travel or something like that. But I'm always trying to improve what it is that I know when it comes to Black people around the world. Another book that is new out, that is The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I've read his book Between the World and Me, and I really enjoyed that one. And so in The Message, apparently he is tackling a book about writing. And in this book about writing, he takes a trip to Africa. Then he takes people to Columbia, South Carolina. And then I think he also finally winds up in Palestine. And he begins to make some connections to that. And also, yes, shout out to the Filipinos. I believe it's Filipino month or day or Filipino heritage. So, yes, shout out. Um, so this is new. This is out new. It's called The Message, and he is making ties and drawing connections between Africa, the United States, and Palestine. So this is going to be my history read over the holidays. So I'm looking forward to getting into this. And then this young lady is someone I follow here online. Her tagline is at the nutrition T, TEA, at the nutrition T. And I found out that she released a book. She is a licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist who calls herself an all foods fit dietitian. And so we'll probably begin reading some of this on Fridays, which is our Get Free Friday focused on health and wealth. And her new book is called Live Nourished, Make Peace with Food, Banish Body Shame, and Reclaim Your Joy. I really like her social media page because she deals a lot with decolonizing our thought processes around food, reclaiming your joy around your favorite foods, understanding that you can still eat soul food, but you just got to eat it in a nourishing way and all those kinds of things. So this is another book that you can check out, but we are going to start reading it on Fridays. Okay? It's called Live Nourished again. Make peace with food, banish body shame, and reclaim joy. All right? Sugar is bad in some of the processed forms. Yes, yes, yes. Sugar alcohol is even worse. And believe it or not, a lot more people are intaking sugar alcohol than regular sugar through sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, through diet drinks that they think is better than the regular drinks, but they're actually worse because of the sugar alcohol. Yeah, so I took a couple of nutrition courses in college, so I learned about sugar. It's a big thing. All right, what else do I want to talk about today? Because I'm doing a short show. Let's talk really quickly. I know if you were here yesterday, you heard my very good. You're a nurse. Awesome. You heard my spiel about voting in the election process in the United States. So I'm not going to do it in full again, but I'm on my Black Table Talk page today. So I do want to hit it really quickly and just show you some things. Okay. So if you are not a voter, you've never voted, you don't understand the purpose behind voting, you feel like voting is pointless, this is for you. Okay. This announcement is for you. So I have in front of me my sample ballot for my county. I live in Maryland, okay? And the first thing that they sent me in my sample ballot was all the people who are qualified candidates to be written into my ballot for the state of Maryland. I want you to look at how many people are qualified candidates, okay? Look. And look at the parties, okay? Democratic, Republican, unaffiliated, and other candidates. So when someone tells you you only have two choices on the ballot, they're not telling you the truth or they've never voted. One or the other. They are either not telling you the truth or they've never voted. This is a list that they sent us before early voting starts. In our state, my area, early voting starts October 24th through the 31st, and I'm definitely going to be early voting. I'm not sitting around waiting for people to act a fool on November 5th, because that's what's going to happen. All right. Now, this is a sample ballot, meaning these are the things that will be on your ballot. Okay. Let's take a look real quick. Can everybody see that? Okay. Notice that there are judges on your ballot, not just the president. There are judges. Oh, look at that. You can vote for up to 4 judges, which means I probably need to do a little bit of research on them and know who they are. Or you can write in a candidate. Look at that. Justice of the Supreme Court. You can decide whether or not they should continue. But I thought we had no say. I thought we had no say in our counties, in our communities. Yeah. Amendments. Oh, increase county council members from 9 to 12. No, from 7 to 9. You mean to tell me we get to decide that? We get to decide if we want to increase the number of council members in our local government? What? Office of the Inspector General. Planning board term limits. Because some people have been there too long. So should we have term limits to get people out of the way who want to hinder progress in our local community? We have an opportunity to do that. And then look at all of these county ordinances. I'm going to try to bring it as close as I can so you can see. Good morning. Grand rising. I say. Hallelujah. Blessings upon blessings. All right. These are ordinances that are talking about being able to release money for certain projects to get done in your community. Oh, what? You mean to tell me I can have a say in whether or not the waterways in my community get improved? Whether or not the rural and agricultural land in my community gets preserved? You mean to tell me I can have a say in money going towards school improvement and whether or not that money should be released? These are the things that are on your ballots that some people are refusing to go register to vote for. You said it's upside down. Is it? I don't think that's upside down. It might be backwards because of the camera for Facebook. But the point I'm making is these are things that are on your ballot. And guess what? If you're not registered to vote, if you're not participating in voting, you are sitting out the decision making process for your community. So if you're stumping and yelling and protesting and marching and screaming and saying justice now, this is a part of how you get justice for your community. I'm just saying. And there are a whole lot of people around who've never seen a ballot telling other people not to vote in that it doesn't matter. This, my friends, is how you get disenfranchised from your own community. This, my friends, is how you get locked out of decision making for your own community. This is how. So when your roads are raggedy and your water pipes are bursting in your community and your schools are run down, this is where you could have had some decision making power to release money so that your community could be properly taken care of. Now, I don't understand why this message has not been broadcast more about why people should be voting, but I'm talking about it today in the hopes that hopefully someone will pass it on and share. Because a lot of us have people in our lives that say that they're not voting and that voting doesn't really matter. Can you please share? You can even clip this part of the video and share it so people know that voting is a part of how you affect change in your community. Now, sorry about that. Now, is it a perfect system? Obviously not. But if you opt out of the system altogether, right? If you opt out of the system altogether, it prevents you from even having a basic say. That is the point I'm making. All right. Now, let us get into Rock My Soul. Today is Black Table Talk. So if you're with us today, Black Table Talk is our Tuesday show. We are online on YouTube Monday through Friday. I only come on the Black Table Talk page on Tuesdays because I want you to know we're here and there's real people behind these posts. All right. But we are here on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube. I'll leave you the link. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Tuesdays, we are reading from Bell Hooks' work, Rock My Soul, Black People and Self-Esteem. This is chapter 4, Living with Integrity. I read aloud because I have realized how many people don't read at all. So I'm reading aloud. Someone messaged me the sweetest message and said, "Hey, I am new to learning English, and your broadcast is helping me to hear English read aloud for free." Awesome. Keep listening. All right, chapter 4, living with integrity. And thank you for sharing that insight. Living with integrity. This is what she has to say. Developing the capacity to mask feelings and lie was a useful survival skill for Black folks during enslavement and during the brutal apartheid years of Reconstruction and Jim Crow. During the Civil Rights era, the militant Black power struggle, individual leaders emphasized the importance of Black folks standing up for their rights and confronting white racism. Yet for most Black folks, the inherited legacy of simulating submission and never showing feelings, especially to white folks, was not unlearned, particularly in the southern states. To this day in the South, as vast numbers of Black people rank among the economically and educationally disenfranchised, even to this day, the same patterns of submission that were aspects of slavery surface. Fear of white scorn and retaliation makes it impossible for many Black folks to speak freely to white folks. Well, she wrote this in what? Let's go back to when she wrote this. She wrote this in 2003. It's 2024, and Black people are still getting backlash for telling white people how they really feel. Just look at some of your favorite content creators who have been defunded, demonetized, pages banned, pages unpublished, all of this stuff. Why? Because they dare to speak freely about how they feel about white people and white folk shenanigans. Did you know that there's even an organization called White Nonsense Roundup? Did y'all know that? They are a group of white people who are committed to rounding up their own people, collecting them online because they see the nonsense. Yeah, they're called White Nonsense Roundup. You can look them up right now on Facebook and follow their page. They even have a website for all of the resources that they've gathered to help white people educate themselves about the things that are happening in the world. I find that to be a great thing, but other people don't. In an integrated society with full civil rights, utilizing outmoded survival strategies actually creates dysfunction in social relations. Masking true feelings and lying, whether in the public sphere, which is the place where Black people most interface with white people, or in private lives, creates a lack of communication and understanding. The normalization of lying as a survival strategy did not stop with the white master or mistress. It was deployed in Black on Black social relations. A central aspect of self esteem is the capacity to be a person of integrity. In the six pillars of self esteem, Nathaniel Branden offers this clear, succinct definition. Integrity is the integration of your ideas, convictions, standards, beliefs, and behavior. When our behavior is congruent with our professed values, when ideals and practice match, we have integrity. Enlightened elderly Black folks in the apartheid South, many of them the direct descendants of the enslaved, recognized that to decolonize their minds, they needed to both challenge racist stereotypes, which claimed that Black people were incapable of honesty, and challenge as well themselves and Black peers because they had all learned this survival strategy of being duplicitous to circumvent exploitation and oppression and to press into their freedom. Now, in case some people didn't know, some people don't know, right? There was a lot of Black people who had I would say, a kind demeanor, right? Of being amenable to certain things. They would have an expression of kindness, but at the same time, they were plotting for their freedom. But you can't go up to a slave master and say, hey, by the way, I know I'm getting this food for you and I know I'm plowing these fields, but I plan on escaping tomorrow. Are you gonna be okay with that? Because the way that I'm being treated and the way that I'm living is not humane. So no, they were not gonna be telling them about their plans. And now we know the people who did. That was through a system of what we call meritorious manumission, where there were some black people that were offered their own freedom for selling out whatever plan was going on, or they were offered monetary reward for selling out whoever. Okay. So we know about meritorious manumission. That is what the term is. When you have black people selling out other black people for freedom, so they can remain enslaved, but they get the reward of being set free. So what she's in essence saying is because black people for generations had to operate in this sort of duplicitous manner, that some of them are still carrying this on. Some of them are still carrying this on, and sometimes they're doing it with each other. So there were elders that decided that it was necessary for them to start practicing their own personal integrity. And there were some people who told the truth even to and on pain of death. Bell writes, my maternal grandparents preached regular sermons to my siblings and me about the importance of being people of our word. My mother's mother was fond of repeatedly stating in her business deals and transactions, my word is my bond. Anybody ever heard that phrase? Your word is your bond. I used to hear it all the time growing up. People, word was their bond. If they said it, they actually meant it and they actually would do it and follow through. And oh my goodness, if they shook hands on it, that was like that was like your signature. But these days, you can't trust the words of what people just say out of their mouth. You got to get formal contracts. You got to get a a notary public, and everything else in order to ensure that your transaction is solid. And even then, people break transactions, right? She says, and many is the time she told me, little girl, you are only ever as good as your word. I've heard that too. My elders used to say that too. You are only ever as good as your word. You're only ever as good as your reputation. A good reputation is rather to be had than all the wealth in the world. Anybody grew up under those sayings, that your name meant something in the community, that even if you didn't have money, if you had a good name, you had something? I don't know about today. I don't know. Some people don't care about their name. In the community we live, she writes, it was important to be known as a person who was forthright, honest, and in all ways able to act with integrity. In his insightful book, Integrity, Stephen Carter explains that integrity means more than simply being honest because it requires the capacity to act with discernment, to have the sustained moral reflection that is often needed to tell right from wrong. He makes the point that one cannot have integrity without being honest, but one can be honest and yet have little integrity. Carter sees integrity as having three steps of moral reflection: discerning what is right and what is wrong, acting on what you have discerned, even at personal cost, and saying openly what you are acting on of your understanding of right from wrong. Has anybody else been painfully honest and it cost you something? I have. I remember one time in high school, I was painfully honest. I said some choice words, but I noticed an injustice that was happening. And I noticed that I had a black administrator, and the black administrator was always leaving out the black student body from decision making in the school. And I said something about it. I didn't use very nice words, but I was right. But it didn't matter that I was right. It was the choice of words that I used, and she made me pay for it my entire senior year. But you know what? All the other students said, you know what? I appreciate you saying that and standing up for us because you were right. She's always leaving us out of the decision making process in the school. We weren't invited to be a part of any of the meetings and the plannings and the event planning and all that stuff that was happening. She was only choosing students that didn't look like her. That's a whole problem. I'm just saying. So, have you ever had to speak up? Have you ever had to say, I'm going to be honest, and it might cost me something to be honest, but I'm going to go ahead and do it? And have you been willing to take that risk? Bell writes, to understand why many African Americans shifted their ethical values away from the ethos of acting with integrity back to the defensive strategy of lying in order to acquire an advantage in the interest of survival, we must acknowledge that the values our ethical elders promoted were not those being encouraged by mainstream supremacist capitalist society. And I think someone on my YouTube noted that we live in a capital. They said we capitalists will always win in this world. Mm, mm, mm. That is just so sad, especially if you know where capitalism comes from. Just go do the etymology on capitalists and capitalism and see what it leads back to. And then ask yourself if you want to win through capitalism. That's all. Okay, I'm going to keep going. When many Black Americans measured their potential for freedom, success, and well being against the standards set by white middle class culture and the burgeoning culture of the class privilege that prioritized consumerism and greed, they saw ethical and moral values as impediments. So, I talked about capitalism too long. Um, if your country's values are consumerism and greed, then yes, you are going to see ethics and morals as impediments to society, to your well being. If your creed for life is it's a dog eat dog world, and you're not trying to build a society where everybody can eat, I know, shocking, right? If you have not realized that everybody can eat, it's just that some people are greedy and want to make sure that most people can't eat, then yeah, this is going to be this whole thing about morality and ethics and integrity. Oh, that's going to be an impediment because your value system is not trying to align with that at all. Okay? She writes, by the late 60s, most black folks did not consider to get over on the all powerful man, whom they insisted had broken all the laws of human decency in order to dominate and rule in the first place. Now, I don't know, some of you might have seen the post that people have been arguing about on Black Table Talk since last night. You can probably go and find it where in the comments I left some videos where two white women, younger white women, are talking about. One said she didn't care about the oppression happening to black and brown people in this country. The second one said that if slavery was brought back, she would be okay with it. These are two younger white women. And we got into the we got into the conversation back and forth, and somebody was asking a question about, well, if slavery comes back, do they think that slavery is just going to be black people being re-enslaved? Do they not understand the economics of slavery and why enslavement didn't only just affect those who were in bondage, but it also affected the majority of white people who were poor because they couldn't compete against unpaid labor. They couldn't compete against free labor, so they had no income. And so someone said, well, if they're so excited about slavery coming back, then yeah, we should let them be enslaved. And I had to come in the comment section and say, I am in no way advocating for enslavement for anybody to come back. Because you know why? I believe in ethics and integrity. And I don't think that the goal should be to become who we are trying to get away from. I don't think the goal should be for black people to become enslavers. Like, that's not the goal. The goal is not, oh, they did it, so we should do it back to them. Now, if that's your goal, if you think that's cool, you're on the wrong page. I do not want to become what the oppressors were. That's not a life goal for me. That was disgusting. That was dehumanizing. That was degrading. That was evil and wicked. Why would I want to become that? That's not a flex. Getting your lick back by enslaving people because your people were formerly enslaved is not getting a lick back. That's not a flex. To become the evil from the past is not a flex. And if you think it's a flex, again, this is the wrong space for you because we don't do that here. Okay. So, when despairing, she goes on to say, when despairing black citizens began to see that the continued racial strife in the United States as a war without end, they began to capitulate to the prevailing social order, abandoning the notion that it is important to emotional well being to maintain high moral standards. I have often said, I'm going to continue to say it again. One of the reasons that our nation with high moral standards. That's it. Go look at the history of crumbling, falling nations and see how they devolved into nothingness. One of the things that I believe is holding this nation together is people who have high moral standards. Now, we've had other countries come along and tell the United States, you all better stop talking to us sideways. Let me summarize for y'all, okay? In Blackology. Y'all better stop talking to us sideways about what we are doing because we have seen your rap sheet, United States. We have seen your rap sheet. So you don't have a moral ground to stand on to tell us what not to do to our citizens because we have seen your rap sheet, which is ongoing. And the only thing that is stopping this country from being wiped out is there are still people in it that have high moral standards. Now, you can argue with your auntie, your grandma, anybody else about that, but that's what I believe. I believe that there are people in this country, enough people in this country that still have a high moral standard, that still have a spiritual ground to stand on. But when we get to the place where we don't, we're going to be in serious trouble. Now, I'm going to stop there in Belle's writing. And I encourage you to get this book. I am in chapter 4. She's talking about integrity. The book is called Rock My Soul, Black People and Self-Esteem. Bell Hooks has a treasure trove of books. We have read several of her books here before on the platform. All About Love is currently my favorite read of hers, but I encourage you to get this book. She's talking about Black people, our self-esteem, where we got off, and how to get back on. All right. If you came in late, please catch the replay. We talked a little bit here about voting, and we talked a little bit about some new books that are out that you might enjoy. I want to thank you for your time and attention. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, Black Table Talk, and I've been your host, Shantae Charles. Yes, there are Black people that actually run this page. Yes, we read your comments. Yes, we get down in the weeds with you in the comment section. As long as you keep it respectful, we will continue to get down in the weeds with you in the comment section. The moment that you decide that we aren't worth respecting, we help you to see your way out to another page. All right. Okay. Thank you again for your time and attention. Remember, in my world, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be light. Take care, everyone. Be well. And most importantly, be light.